everybody, my name is Troublemaker, and we have a Wargame AirLand battle match. This one will be, in fact, a pact versus pact. A mirror match. Our blue player finished round 5 in the Wargame Cup, was one of the top 66 players, had exclusive beta access, along with 140 other people. Was eliminated from the tournament by Kel, I believe. His name is Kamikaze1218, and he'll be playing as blue today, the blue pack player. And his opponent, representing the color red, was also a round 5 finalist, was kicked out by Rebar, who was one of the quarter or semi-finalists. He also performed very well in the Wargame Cup. One of the top 66, also in the beta. Very exciting player. He is the Deutsch Phenom. It's a great nickname. Itz German Stratig. Of course, in the Wargame Cup, there were, I'd say 2 or 3 people with very interesting names. And I would say, hands down, Itz German Stratig had the most interesting, and also I believe the most number of underscores in a name. I swear to God, if you search his name, you'll find only his matches. It's a beautiful name. So I haven't watched a single Itz German Stratig match since being back, so this will be pretty exciting. I have watched Kamikaze matches, and Kamikaze has a pretty standard style of play that he will do. Basically, he gets a lot of infantry, sometimes some of these rockets, maybe a couple of eagles or so, and he will make a pretty powerful push towards the middle and try and secure as deep in as possible. So on this match, instead of going on his base, he'll try to go on his enemy's base and just deny that. And this is an economic play. It's a big economic denying play. No, he doesn't have extra commands out of the map yet. He's going to get those after. He does have the money. He's just worried about all-ins. And why shouldn't he be? After he does this big forward push to try and grab lots of forward territory, he will solidify it with more infantry units, and then he'll pull out artillery. He will shell out the artillery numbers, weakening his opponent, and after that he will almost always fill in with more infantry, grab a tank ball, and then try and finish off his opponent. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. We'll just have to see what kind of match this will be. We do see he's being very, very aggressive with his infantry very early on, but unfortunately the weak points will hurt these carriers or these vehicles, as they're not even going to get any evacuation off. In fact, all cleaned up there. In this flank, we see some Spetsnaz VMFs going to fire on. Of course, the main damage is being done by these vehicles here. The SU-12254, very cheap vehicles, very potent, however, have a very cheap, cost-effective AT solution. He doesn't actually want to lose these recons here. He doesn't want to lose a lot of these units, but he is getting some infantry in some locations just by a little bit of fluke. This opening engagement probably should go to Itz German Stratig just because he's gained position on the map. And in fact, he does have 3 bases to the 1 of Kamikaze, and Kamikaze is trading very, very cost effectively, but no, he doesn't have great position, so that'll hurt him eventually. Gets a little bit of a snipe here with one of these MiG fighter jets. You see now he's pulling at the T-62, and this isn't talking about cost effectiveness. Laying that napalm on these little towns here and just completely forcing a lot of these infantry back. Going to try and eliminate as much as possible, and Kamikaze has gained a pretty sizable lead, 120 points. And he's not finished yet. He's still picking up units. All the while he's filling in with infantry. Hasn't picked up a 2nd or 3rd command yet. Still trying to solidify his position. All the while, Itz German Stratig is getting this BMPT out. This, of course, used to be the old overpowered vehicle. It is no longer particularly overpowered. It is just balanced. Very expensive vehicles, 80 points per, and it's a quality versus quantity war, it seems, as Kamikaze just slowly inching up these tanks and napalm, trying to finish off all the infantry here and just get those points, because it's all about the points. Game is to 2000, so it will be a little bit longer, and right now we're seeing a lot of tank destroyer, anti-tank options here from Itz German Stratig. Might be a little bit of an overstep here. Might be bringing just too many AT solutions to clean up just a few tanks. So literally all he's seen so far on this map is 3 SE-27s, 1 TO-62, 1 tank missile type, and a missile return. Nothing really that tells you, man, we really need a lot of AT solutions. But while he's moving these infantry into this little home here, trying to solidify the mom and pop franchise, and still Kamikaze doesn't have an expansion yet. It's kind of shocking, actually. Here comes the BMPT, though, just pounding away. Will it survive, though, is the question. The middle Shaturn's getting some great shots off. The big final shot, and boom, that was a huge win for Kamikaze, as Itz German Stratig almost gave that away for free. All the while, we do have some Conqueror's rockets going to try and clean up these SE-122s, which have been absolutely painful for Itz German Stratig, and they're all gone now. One of the Jalos is gone as well. Could be a problem. And we have an infantry war blazing in the middle here. The Morskaya Pihota do not have a very good advantage. The Motostroki should be able to clean them up, especially with the support that's being given by the BMP-3. There is a Conquerors left in here. I'll be interested to see if he moves these Motostrokis up. It looks like he will not. The Malikutias now have a position to actually hit some pretty nasty tank targets here. Trying to go with this TO-55 and the BTR-60 Pi. Gets one good shot. Optic failure, 50% health. He might be able to get the TO-55 with the next shot. And looks like it's going to be on this infantry vehicle. Does in fact get one of them. He does drop his VDVs right away, and the robot will start counter-firing. Of course, it does have the Faggot rocket. And will it get the TO-62? It misses. Another shot will be continuing from the BTR RD robot, as the TO-62 does in fact try to wheel away, and ooh, it does take a hit, but it will get away just in time, it seems. Or will it? Here comes another rocket. This could be the painful doomsday rocket for this TO-62, and it does miss. So with a pretty exciting opening here, we see that both players are in fact going to try and normalize. We have a second command on the map here. So the first command in odd location. Is that in the border? There's got to be another one. No, that is actually just the first command, and this is something that looks like has been figured out by Kamikaze. That if you just hump this little border here, you get a good advantage. They can't. That's interesting. The fact that that's still technically in there, just barely. Like, so he rallies out an artillery unit. No surprise here, and of course, artillery do get a lot of flack, because artillery, on the one hand, don't do a particularly high amount of damage. On the other hand, people are trying to kill tanks with artillery, so that's something different. Of course, going with the vehicles, a very, very good choice. I'm interested to see, does he have vision? And he does. Vision will allow for a corrected shot, which means he'll get a better concentration of fire and be able to deal more damage. And picks off a vehicle with a BTR-3, and forest area is in fact going to get cleaned out, but at a cost. VDVs are going to try and move into that location. Getting picked off by BTR-3s. I don't know if the BTR-3s should be able to clean this up. We have a second round of artillery fire going to happen here. Now keep in mind, he does have a lot of eyes, so this artillery will be more effective than your run-of-the-mill spray and pray type strategy. And here comes the Mistas. What will they fire at this time? Keep in mind, vision is very, very important here. Vision will tell you whether it's a corrected shot or just an educated guess. And in fact, it will be an educated guess. We're going to go with this wood location where in fact the Mitula Bistrella 10M, it's a great name by the way, is, and ooh, he gets one of them killed. So already the artillery has paid for itself. And yes, here comes the expansion, finally. If he would have waited much longer, he would have been in some serious trouble. Because actually the army of Itz German Stratig is already getting kind of fat, which is kind of problematic for Kamikaze. Now there is a 3-point base on the map, and they are in fact secured by Itz German Stratig. There's not too much risk in moving a command from Hotel to Foxtrot, but you might not want to risk that. That's some good coke. So we're going to speed ahead. This is what we refer to as the mid-game. You'll see small skirmishes like this. People just kind of guessing where the opponent is, going for some glory shots. We do see a VDV has moved in. Artillery fire shelling, trying to cover this Motostroki. And the TO-55 should help clean up this motor strelky and secure this location for Itz German Stratig. Itz German Stratig, of course, is about 200 points behind. He can make a comeback, but it's going to be something else. Interesting that the Spetsnaz can just do this. Just completely outrange the motor strelky. Of course, the motor strelky cannot see this Spetsnaz. So we're going to enter this phase of the game where we see a lot of artillery and small creeps. I'm interested. Itz German Stratig, will you move and try and secure this 3-point base? All the while, ha 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 ha. He's using these BTR-60 pies, which of course are not very useful in the opening battle. And this is actually quite smart. He wants to creep around the edges here and try and get this. Now, if you're happening to make an educated guess as to where the command is, you're going to say it's either here or here. So if you creep around this way, you can either block a reinforcement point, because it is, or you can come across here, knock at the command, or move across very quickly for the command. However, it has been spotted by the VTR RD robot from Itz German Stratig, and slow motion rockets will slowly crush. No, actually a huge miss. So maybe these BTR-60 pies will advance into position. Of course, these are not going to be the best units for a reinforcement block. You really prefer infantry for that, and you want something with a rocket or a tank destroyer type add-on to just deal with those nasty tanks. And seeing skirmish. Whoa! A recon actually goes down there. That is pretty huge. A T-80A is out, but now it's been pretty well neutralized with the lack of recon information from Itz German Stratig. And both players will now sort of go into normalization mode. Of course, this group of BTR-60 pies has been scouted. A deployment of infantry has been done in the woods here to block this reinforcement point. At this point, Itz German Stratig does think these are loaded full of infantry, so you know, not going to be as scary as you think. And look at this crazy amount of metagame playing, just going across the edges of these woods here. Is he so good that he's going to dodge this? I don't think so. That just seems too good. And we see double mistas. He's just going to refuel these with the Ural 432Os. And maybe the death of the last SU-1254. We will see a T-64A moving very, very close to the front, and this may just cause a huge... Oh my god! Oh my god! A T-64 goes down to a Conqueror's rocket. That was huge! That maintains basically a very powerful lead for Kamikaze, who has been playing with an economic disadvantage, who seemingly has lost his second commander. No, it's right here. What's he doing with it? That's odd. Where's it going? Where are you going, Kamikaze? Where is this vehicle going? At such rapid speeds. He's kind of just hiding it. I don't understand why. But we do see this little engagement here. Not going to be a big deal. Should be get cleaned up relatively effectively here by Itz German Stratig. In fact, not even doing any damage at all is Kamikaze. And so now the match is getting very, very close. 150 points. It would be a lot closer if that T-64, of course, stayed alive. There's still a T-80A here for Itz German Stratig, who has, I guess, is using a Soviet deck. Could that be right? Soviet deck? Maybe they're both using Soviet decks. I don't really know, but I for some reason I'm tempted to say this is not a Soviet deck that we're seeing from Kamikaze. Just because I don't see any Soviet specialized units here. And yeah, a little bit of lull here. Block the artillery in the firing. Going for these nice target solutions on the AA. There's a lot of endgame strategies. One involves getting that nice artillery cluster out and just punishing the mass amount of infantry. What is this? Why is this here? It's literally on the border of space. Like, is this some sort of attempt to cheese? I'm confused. Because I guess if you're 300 points ahead and you don't have 300 points of units on the map, which it doesn't look like he does, you can just sit a command armor out here on the border of space, which of course it will never be found, and win. That could be it. I think these coolers are, yeah, 130. So I'm guessing if he gets like another 100 points, he doesn't have to try, would be the thing. This is just a really weird thing to do, though, especially when you're winning so well and so effectively and you're on the internets. And a little bit of counter barrage here. The Malka is pulled away in time. Going to run over to this location here, which of course does have a cargo. 3750 cargo, rally to it. And look at this little neat standoff here. It's a recon standoff between the two. And actually, there's a more effective recon here from one player or the other. And look at this great fast pullback by Kamikaze, noticing that there is in fact an attack jet fighter here. He's bringing his own attack. I said jet fighter, it's a helicopter. He's bringing his own helicopter here to be very aggressive. And this pawn has like a really great vantage point if you are a helicopter user, just because you can pick at all the sides here. You can pick off from the weak points. One thing to note, if you look on this diagram here, they'll say armor. The weak points are the ones with the lowest armor, and they give you critical strikes. So that's very important. And looks like we're seeing Kamikaze just going to continue using lots and lots of lovely infantries. Not too pressured to attack. Ooh, big barrage here. Doesn't get any damage onto the command member, which seemingly has a nice glow of not getting stomped. He actually kills the helicopter while not looking and pulls back the Kula, which of course has Igla, which are your A-type rockets, and the KH-57L, which are AT rockets, that's anti-tank rockets. Really using interesting choices here. This hybrid AT-AA helicopter is doing very, very well. And in fact, we're going to continue seeing the barrages. More and more barrages. We're seeing BTR-65s getting an inch forward, trying to pick off some units, but actually just getting sacrificially rammed off. He could also be doing this to spot for his artillery, which seemingly does not exist anymore. And Kamikaze is actually at a point where he can't lose, because if he lost every single unit on the map, he has this, which can't lose and can't be spotted. That's really cheap. He's got an infantry here as well to try and kill stuff that gets in. That's just nasty. You are a nasty man, Kamikaze. So basically by this point, Kamikaze can't lose unless he plays really, really dumb. But he seems to be playing pretty smartly, showering of their artillery. I mean, basically, as far as like artillery tactics go, and I did do a video on this, which will be coming out soon. Tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow comes out. When using artillery, the last 5 minutes of the game, you should be non-stop shelling with artillery. You should be shelling out with artillery when you're ahead, and when you're ahead, you should be getting more and more artillery units to get more ahead. You'll be trading out basically a euro, which is 20 points in cost, to the enemy to kill like 10-15 points. And you'll also be weakening the enemy. You will be giving veterancy to tanks, however. Now, when you are behind, you should be stacking up clusters of tanks. Both players are basically doing what they should be doing. And when you're behind, you have to go for a very late game strategy where in the last, say, 8 minutes, you'll want to be using tanks very, very aggressively. Artillery will not be a big part of your strategy and should not be a big part of your strategy. And of course, there is no choice for Itz German Stratig to use artillery in his endgame strategy because he doesn't have any right now. And actually, is he being a crazy man? I think he is. T-64A leading the charge here as he rushes across. And by rush, I mean deeply controlled rush. He's going to use these tanks to try and soak some damage. These two actually. And then he's going to bring in all these AT type vehicles in the back. BMPT should be very effective with this makeup. Now, Kamikaze has actually burnt through all of his Conqueror's rockets. So he only has two anti-tank solutions here. So here we go. All these vehicles run forward. Actually going to bring the robot to the front. And here comes the artillery barrage, and this is where it comes in handy. Getting these big stuns on all of the key units. This is actually a nightmare here for Itz German Stratig right now. His whole plot, his plan has been pretty well destroyed. One Conqueror's rocket does go down, however. The robot is firing its quad PKTs at the BTR-60 Pi. All the while, long-distance rockets are going to try and hit anything they can. We have a pretty powerful push, regardless of the stun still coming in. T-80As are very low on health right now, however, so he's got to be very careful with those. BMPTs hitting these very, very long-range Conquerors from the distance, and the Conquerors are getting some pretty crazy shots off here. All the while, the tanks continue to push through the center, push through the middle, and we have a pretty massive engagement here as the tanks are shelling out every location they can, anything they can do to get those key points. With 9 minutes left in the game, we're looking at 800-point difference. That's a pretty sizable difference. Artillery barrages are still pounding on this back location, have killed one of the rocket-based weapons here, and Kamikaze is just playing too well. BMPT moving up to the front, trying to pick off this Conquerors in the distance. What a crazy range on those BMPTs. I don't know why they were nerfed. And both of them are actually gone down. At this point, there's 140 points for Kamikaze to get in order to win this. The T-80A might be the sacrificial lamb that ends the game here, as we do see some great long-distance fire, completely missing the Conquerors, however. One more rocket will do it with 1 point left on the T-80A. T-64A also coming in to support. A lot of A model 11. Oh my god, that wins the game. So absolute chaos and destructions here. Kamikaze will take up a win. 5 points momentarily. There we go. Kamikaze does take a win off of Itz German Stratig. Both very, very good players. Don't be confused. They both did very, very well. My name is Troublmaker. That's the end of our cast for the week. Next week we'll have 2 more. Tomorrow I have our tutorial on the artillery firing those artilleries. And on Monday I have my campaign play. So thank you guys for joining me. There's more great content throughout the week. So make sure to subscribe. See you guys next time.